Welcome to All Pro Football Data. My name is Jim Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about Southeast Missouri State wide receiver Ryan Flournoy, based on his production, athleticism, and other statistical factors. Stay tuned to the end of the video as we get into his data profile to kind of see where he projects at the NFL level. So stay with us, and we'll get there pretty soon. Looking at his production data, offensive market share scores are kind of explained right here. But based on his offensive market share data, he had a 71 percentile receiving market share score, 62 percentile in terms of his total offensive market share, and then 52 percentile in terms of touchdown market share. These numbers are decent, but the level of competition is the biggest concern here because he didn't play in the SEC, he didn't play in the FBS, he played at Southeast Missouri State. So these numbers are decent for a FBS wide receiver, but not so decent for a wide receiver who played at the FCS level or lower. So that's kind of the biggest issue that he kind of faces is his production wasn't elite, and his level of competition kind of lowers his expectations a bit. Now, when you get to his efficiency data, this is another area where he wasn't that fantastic. He had barely above 50 percentile in terms of his yards per reception, and then his TD percentage was barely above the 40 percentile range. And again, this is a wide receiver from a lower level competition standpoint. These are not the numbers that you want to see out of a lower level division wide receiver. You want to see 90 percentile, 80 percentile, or better in terms of these metrics. So that's the biggest issue that Ryan Flournoy is facing is he played against lower level division competition and didn't perform like an elite player against that competition. Now, when you get to his athleticism traits, he did test well as an athlete. He had a 92 percentile explosion testing score and 87 percentile in terms of speed for his size. These are great numbers for any wide receiver to hit. But again, for his level of competition, production just wasn't really getting it done. And then when you get to his adjusted production traits, adjusted production is the context for his production. This is where things kind of fall off a cliff. Age score was not even necessary to mention. MSA rating was basically in the 3rd percentile, and then he was in the 21st percentile in terms of his pass rating, which was bumped up because of his efficiency scores. But again, when you play against lower level division competition, you got to produce a lot more than Ryan Flournoy produced. And again, it's nothing against him as a player, nothing against him in terms of getting opportunities to play in the NFL. But this is just the reality when you're talking about lower level division wide receivers. They have to be really productive, more productive. They have to stand out even more than wide receivers at the SEC level, at the Big 12 level, at every other level of football you could think of. Small school wide receivers have to stick out even more based on their production data to really be considered as somebody who could potentially just be a regular starter at the next level. So that's kind of the biggest concern with him. Now, when you get to his comparables, so these are the wide receivers that he kind of compared to based on his production data. I don't really want to mention Deontay Johnson as an example because he's kind of an outlier, honestly, in the data. But for the most part, this is kind of what you're looking at with him. Good athleticism traits, production not really where it needs to be, but as you can clearly see in terms of his MSA rating, his pass rating, and his age rating, he's at the bottom compared to all the wide receivers that are on this list right here. And that's not where you want to be. You already are kind of profiling as a backup. And then when you look at the wide receivers that kind of test like you, and all of them are better than you in terms of age, MSA rating, and pass rating, those are the biggest concerns with him. Now, in terms of outlook for him, Ryan Flournoy profiles as a backup to fringe starter long term. Flournoy has starter athleticism traits. However, his age, level of competition severely limit his potential. Most wide receivers from his level of competition must have elite production to translate as a starter, let alone a backup to a certain extent. Flournoy is essentially 10 percentiles away from being 10 percentiles away from where he needs to be as a prospect. And that is the biggest concern for him. Now, do I think he has a shot to become an NFL starter? Absolutely. He has the athleticism traits you're looking for. There's always going to be outliers in the data. But for the most part, this is not what you're looking for long term based on from a data perspective for most wide receivers. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out these videos right here to learn more about the stuff that I do and learn about more things related to data. Also, thank you guys so much for watching. Check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/jcoburn. Also, check out my Twitter, or now X page, Geometrics on Twitter. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.